Hey, get out and share this book. This is called Hustle Economics by Ash Cash. Okay, we are behind, people. We are behind. We need to vertically move up. Okay, we need to stack our steps. We don't need to go horizontal. We are behind. We can't go horizontal. We have to make the correct, decisive plans, correct, decisive goals. We need to get this book out to our youth, okay? Need to get this out to our newly graduates, and we need to get this out to those that have goals, okay? This is a good graduation present. This is a good gift, okay? This is something from the heart, okay? And please believe, this is like my 81st 82nd book that I have read within 2 years. This is my first audiobook. So, if I am doing this as my audiobook, that is because it's so good and it is so necessary. Okay? Please get out and share this book, gift this book. Also, like, share, and subscribe. This is Alonda Louis Kyriacou. Ermiasism number 13. Define what success means to you. Quote, success to me is just being able to do what you love to do and support yourself all through. End quote, Nipsey Hussle. To some people, success is making $1,000,000, driving a foreign car, and or living in a mansion. For others, success is simply waking up and being the best that they can be. Two completely different sides of the coin, but nonetheless, these are both marks of success. What most people get wrong about success that it isn't determined by society. It isn't determined by your family, and it isn't determined by your material possessions. It is solely determined by you. Nipsey knew that regardless of what people thought of him, it was really what he thought about himself that mattered the most. He lived his life with pure intentions and understood that he was going to define what success looks like for him. There were many opportunities that Nipsey could have taken advantage of to the outside world would have been success. But it didn't align with his definition, so he had to stay true to himself. Case in point, with great respect, admiration, and relationship with Rick Ross, Nipsey had the opportunity to sign to MMG. There is no doubt about it that the hip hop world would have been in a frenzy had this materialized. But as Nipsey explained, he made a promise to his team to fully execute the plan that he had set forth, and to go against that would not have been the right move to make. Ultimately, Nipsey stuck to his guns and it worked out exactly how he envisioned. Make sure that whatever you say success is, that's what you aim towards. Do not allow the noise of the outside world to tell you what success looks like for you. This is your journey, your race, your marathon, so success should always be your terms. Quote, they say every man is defined by his reaction to any given situation. Well, who would you want to define you? Someone else or yourself? End quote, Nipsey Hussle. Ermiasism number 14, trust the process. Quote, you learn all the secrets to the game on your way up. Most people want to skip the process. When you skip steps, you miss the lessons. Repeat. You learn all the secrets to the game on your way up. Most people want to skip the process. When you skip steps, you miss the lesson. End quote, Nipsey Hussle. When you have an unwavering faith that something will happen, it doesn't mean that it will happen easily. In most cases, most things that happen easily do not last long because long-term success has struggle built into it. It isn't struggling just for the sake of struggling, but it is struggling that helps build your character, your skills, and gives you the wherewithal to keep going when the going gets tough. Nipsey knew this firsthand, from his studio being raided by police to having to hustle when music didn't seem like it was working out to getting arrested right after he signed his first record deal, to getting dropped or agreeing to separate from that record deal because it wasn't working out, to being harassed in his neighborhood by law enforcement, and the list goes on. Despite all the ups and downs, Nipsey trusted the process and wasn't shy about sharing the game. Nipsey once said in an interview with Big Boy, "I'm not going to lie and portray this ultimate poise like had it figured out. No, I just didn't quit. That's the only distinguishing quality from me and probably whoever else going through this or went through this or is going to go through this is that I did not quit. I went through every emotion with trying to pursue what I'm doing, and I think that's going to separate who's ever's trying to go for something. Please understand that struggle is a part of the journey. What you go through on your way to success is as important as the success itself. Never for 1 second take your struggles for granted. Embrace them, love them, and use them to get you to the life you deserve. And as the saying goes, you have to fight through some bad days to earn the best days of your life. Ermiasism 15. Stick to the script, but be flexible. Learn how to adapt. Learn how to pivot, and move correctly. Quote, we got turned down, we failed, had setbacks, had to start over a lot of times. But we kept going at it. In anybody's case, that's always the distinguishing factor, end quote, Nipsey Hussle. From day one, Nipsey was after ownership and freedom. He came into this game with a clear vision to be an independent artist. His goal was to simply sell 50,000 units of his music and be able to tour and make at least $15,000 a show. He watched Master P and studied the successes of Jay-Z and Jay Prince that came before him and thought to himself that he can do the same. They laid the blueprint. Well, this is his initial plan, but life would have a different direction for him to take. Nipsey winds up signing a record deal with Epic Records, and he explains that when he did the deal, he was on the run from the law. He didn't have a warrant out for his arrest, but one of his friends had just got arrested for something he was involved in. He knew it was just a matter of time. He thought that was going to do a lot of jail time, so he had to reconfigure his original plan. Signing to Epic was Nipsey's way of trying to get a big infusion of cash so he would be able to fight his case, since hiring a lawyer would be expensive. After celebrating the signing of his deal, he did indeed get arrested, but ultimately he ended up doing probation. This is a testament of what will inevitably happen to most journeys. You will have a plan, but circumstances may alter that plan just a bit. But regardless of what happens to you, You must stick to the script and be flexible. Just because he signed the deal out of necessity didn't mean that the vision of independence was lost. He decided to go a different route, but because he always kept his true intentions in mind, he wound up still getting what he wanted. Eventually, the deal with Epic didn't work out, and in time, he was able to buy back his music, which put him back on the path of true independence, just like he wanted. As Nipsey said, sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to take 2 steps forward. Always remember that even though you have a plan for your life, there can always be circumstances that derail those plans. In the same breath, it is important that you don't give permanent energy to temporary things. Adjust to those temporary setbacks and just keep pushing towards your destination. Quote, you gotta go hard. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta have a sense of humor to how the BS is going to happen. You can't be too serious about it or too emotional and fake when it does. You gotta just stick to the script, believe, and have overwhelming confidence. Be your own biggest fan, your own biggest believer, and put it on your back and carry the weight. End quote. Nipsey Hussle. Ermiasism 16. Own your now and your future. The new mindset is we don't want advances, we want equity. We don't want one-off endorsements, we want ownership. Nipsey Hussle. In the words of the Honorable Sean Carter, until you own your own, you cannot be free. Our whole human existence is about living on purpose, loving our life, and having the freedom to live on our terms. But as the saying goes, freedom isn't free. In order to live in a world where basic necessities cost money, your freedom is in essence attached to your income or wealth. Let me repeat that. In order to live in a world where your basic necessities cost money, your freedom is in essence attached to your income or wealth. So you can be financially free, but you're not totally free. Okay, but you do have enough income and or wealth to move around more freely. Alonda Louis Kyriacou. Nipsey knew that in order to live life on his terms, he needed to be an owner. He wasn't just an artist. He was also a music executive that understood the nuances of running a business. He also understood the power of hip-hop culture and knew that by delaying gratification in the form of not taking an advance or signing to a label, opposed to partnering with them, would be a slower grind to build wealth. Remember, built vertically, but more lucrative in the long run. When you look at all the money he made from streaming because he owned his masters, the wait was more than worth it. A lot of times we exchange ownership for instant gratification. Whether it's selling our time for money or giving up equity in our business to raise capital or signing a contract, the giveaway are intellectual property. If you are in it for the long term and want true liberation, then you must own your own now and future. There may be a lot of bumpy roads along the way, but when you reach the top of the mountain, you'll be glad that you kept your ownership. If you believe in yourself and your product or service and know that what you are putting out has value, then eventually you will get all that you deserve. Quote, I own my company. I own the assets of the whole industry, which is your masters, your intellectual property. You know what I'm saying. You're publishing. So you know your metrics and what your gauge as an achievement is actually a peon. underboss way of looking at it. Because, I'm not in for the fame. Everybody want to be seen and held at the highest regard, obviously, but you can't cash that out. You can't take that to the bank, end quote. Nipsey Hussle. Ermiasism number 17. Be creative on how you monetize your brand. Build an ecosystem around your main product and or services. Quote, we are creating an ecosystem from production to consumption. Ooh, I like that. We are creating an ecosystem from production to consumption. Not only do we own the supply chain, but we can curate the experience. From the ownership of the actual master to the retail experience and marketing the product to consuming it. That's the same model as Apple, end quote, Nipsey Hussle. I could literally write a whole book on supply chains. Vertical integration. Remember I was saying vertical leveling up. An ecosystem. But for the purpose of this book, you must understand that building an ecosystem was what accelerated Nipsey's wealth and rise to stardom. Owning the supply chains means that you are fully responsible for your product or service from production to consumption. In case in point, the fact that Jay-Z owns Tidal and uses his own streaming service to release his music means that he cut the middleman out completely. He owns the whole process from the production to consumption. Before I continue, I want to break down what an ecosystem is. Ecosystem. Noun, ecology. Plural noun, ecosystems. Point 1. A complex network of or interconnected systems. Owning the whole ecosystem means that you have a total control over anything that is connected to your product or service. For instance, as a music artist whose main product or service is releasing music, merchandise, and touring live concert is a part of that ecosystem. These products and services becomes a source of income that derives directly from the music that the artist puts out. This is why there is such a movement against 360 deals. In essence, a 360 deal is someone else owning your ecosystem, aka SLAVERY. Okay? The true definition of a 360 deal is a business relationship between an artist and a music company. A company agrees to provide financial and other support for artists, aka an advance, as well as support in marketing, promotion, touring, and other areas. In layman's terms, the company gets a piece of everything. As Nipsey and his team started to realize how influential their marketing tactics were, they decided to start a marketing company. They also decided to create an experience by opening up their own store called the Marathon Clothing Store, where people could physically experience Nipsey's music and or buy merchandise. There was also an online component. One thing people didn't know about Marathon Clothing is that it's known as a smart store. According to Wikipedia, a smart store is a brick and mortar retail establishment using smart technology like smart shelves, smart carts, or smart cars, and usually delivers their service via the web, smartphone apps, and augmented reality such as AI applications in real stores. The Marathon Clothing Store allowed customers to purchase merchandise and use an app to preview exclusive content from Nipsey. This is another example of Nipsey owning his ecosystem. Owning his ecosystem is what allowed him to understand his customers better. With the data he received from the people who shop with him online and at his store, he was able to start his Proud to Pay campaign in 2013. This is where he's infamously charged $100 for fans to purchase a physical copy of his mixtape Crenshaw. According to the Rap Radar interview, Jay-Z was so intrigued by the idea that he bought 100 copies. His bold and audacious idea allowed him to make $100,000 off something that he was offering for free, in turn gave him the capital necessary to fund his project. Nipsey understood that customers buy at different price points. So the same customer who was on YouTube or DatPiff looking for a free mixtape was probably not the same customer that would buy his product for $100. You only know this if you own every aspect of your business. When he said, I integrated vertically, he leveled up vertically. He stacked his goals vertically. Y'all ninjas blew it. He wasn't bragging or exaggerating. He was letting it be known that artists have the power to own their destinies, but instead, they keep signing record deals. Some people just want to be a rapper. Some people just want to be an actor. Some people want to have a business, but they don't want to own their business. They don't want to own themselves. Okay? That's just me adding Alonda Louis Kyriacou. Don't get me wrong, there are going to be instances when it makes sense to outsource or delegate a part of your business to another company, but that's where strategic partnership comes into play. When you create a strategic partnership, as we will talk about next, you still are a part of the ecosystem, in turn maintain control of your destiny. Ermiasism number 18. Build strategic partnership. We should all, quote, we should all think outside the box right now, and we should all be aware that we are empowered and we're going to do radical-ish right now, end quote, Nipsey Hussle. There is no question about it that Nipsey is a man of integrity. And one of the things that intrigued me the most about him was the fact that he knew what he wanted but would never take more than he deserved. He was not greedy, people. He revealed during the Breakfast Club interview that he was trying to sign a deal with Atlantic Records for close to 3 years. But it never materialized because he wasn't fully ready. Nipsey and his team had specific terms that they were looking for in a strategic partnership. At the time that they were requesting these terms, Atlantic did not feel that Nipsey was at the point where he can demand those terms. Remember, you have to know your value, or those that do not value you will let you know what they think your value is. Nipsey agreed, and instead looking for a different partner, he and his team decided to get to work to increase his worth so that the deal can make sense. One of the reasons why Nipsey wanted a strategic partnership with Atlantic was because Atlantic is one of the largest record labels in the business today. A relationship with them will give Nipsey access to opportunities and resources that purely independent artists could not do by themselves. Due to the structure of the deal, Nipsey was not able to reveal exactly what the deal entailed, but he did say that this deal was aligned with some of the other joint ventures that have been done in the past. The other important aspect of this strategic partnership was the actual team behind the company. Nipsey knew that it was important to know who he was going to do business with. No matter what the reputation of the company is, it is only as good as the people who run it. The executive from Atlantic had many years of experience in the music business, but also had a reputation for helping independent artists create joint ventures. As you decide whether your business requires a strategic partner to take you to the next level, understand that any partner that you approach must see value in what you are offering. This should go without saying, but these work vice versa as well. Do not enter into a partnership with anyone or entity if there isn't a mutual benefit. The best deals are made when it is a win-win situation. Successful independent artists create a movement for their music. They build their brand, they expand their fan base, and once that is done, they create the leverage to be able to ask for specific terms within any business deal. This is true for you and whatever business you're in. Once you can increase your value in the marketplace, whether it is by revenue or purely by the size of your movement, aka how many eyeballs do you influence, it becomes easier for companies to see your worth. And more likely than that, they will be willing to write a check. If you want to succeed in anything, increase your value and everything will fall into place. As you know, he left you a quote. Quote, I know that if you go hard and your product is solid, you got the advantage. End quote. Nipsey Hussle. Ermiasism 19. Know your numbers. Streaming advantage. Quote, we was getting rap money, so it was all progress. That was amazing to me that we can get paid off music. And it kept growing slowly. It was just growing. So it was like, I'm cool as long as it keep making progress. I ain't on nobody else's timetable. End quote. Nipsey Hussle. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. In order to solidify your success, it is imperative that you know your numbers. Know what it costs for you to produce your product or service. Know how much you are selling this product or service for. Understand what the profits made from your product or service. And surely understand what your break-in point is, which is the amount of money you need to make in order to recoup for expenses. Once you hit break-even, everything after that becomes profit. Nipsey began to see the benefits of owning his masters when he started to look at his streaming numbers. At one point, iTunes sales were his largest revenue generator, but as streaming got more popular and he continued to build his brand, he started to see a shift in his streaming numbers. The great thing about streaming is that it is the gift that keeps on giving. In the finance world, we call this residual income or passive income because you record your music one time and you're able to get paid from it over and over and over again. This was similar in the case with CDs and records. The difference was that you owned the CD or record, so once you bought it, you always had it, unless you lost or damaged it. Music, even movie streaming, have allowed companies to keep getting paid for the same content. You are never an owner, but you are constantly leasing. Woohoo! Dang. As far as a seller goes and the owner goes, that is a good idea. But as far as the consumer goes, that means you're just paying money, but you don't have any visible, permanent material in your possession. Understanding this concept fits in well with knowing your numbers, because whatever product or service you are providing, it is also imperative that you understand what business model makes the most sense for you to pursue. It is impossible to get somewhere if you don't know where you want to go. Knowing your numbers, the best way to measure which direction your company is going.